Find out more at getmyflushot.org. Brought to you by the AMA CDC.
It's time for Lions Review by MTN Brand Detroit.
I can hear it.
Now, the voice of the Detroit Lions, Dan.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Lions Review. Coming up tonight, we're going to get you up to date on what happened in their win over Washington yesterday. Look ahead to their game coming up against Carolina. We got a lot to discuss. Mike O'Hara in the house. Michael, much better atmosphere after a victory. That goes without saying.
I'd say in most precincts that's the case, but life just seems for the players and all that and everybody. It just seems better. It really does. Now, how long it lasts, we'll find out. But Monday after a win is a good feeling.
Yeah, and even when things haven't gone the way that you hoped they would, and they're sitting there now at 4-5, obviously, and they anticipated and wanted to be better than that. It's still because everything in the NFL is so compartmentalized. When you lose, you're done with that game on Monday. You're turning the page. When you win, it just kind of moves you into that next week with a better feeling. I don't care what your record is. You put so much work in that victory still kind of gives you a boost as you move forward.
I'd agree with that. We're not in the locker room like we were in other years because of the COVID and all the protocols and all that. But I always felt that by Wednesday afternoon when you were in the locker room after practice, you wouldn't know if they'd won or lost that week unless you knew, because the guys are getting ready for the next, and they like to play. Yeah. They're getting ready for the next game. Now, when you get to the end of the season, week 15, 16, and 17, and maybe you get the knockout blow in the playoffs, then you can really notice the difference. But at this time of year, trust me, winning is better, and then you're right back to work to try and get another one.
I think you and I have talked about this before. I can't tell you how many times that I have walked out of a stadium thinking that was such a devastating loss. This team will never recover, whether it was, early in my career doing Redskins stuff or, Washington football stuff. Well, it was Redskins back then. Washington football stuff. We'll go with the correct. Or with the Lions when I covered them, or the Lions doing play-by-play. There are losses that feel so devastating when you walk out. You think the players will never recover. And like you said, Monday there's still a little bit of a hangover and the locker room's kind of quiet. And then by Wednesday, it is just, they really do have an incredible ability to just set their sights on what's next. And it's like it never happened. And they do come back the next week and play like it didn't happen.
Yeah, and they start over just exactly like you said. They start over like the week before never happened. Now, the Minnesota game last week, the way they got handled in the running game, I had the feeling that it's over. They're not. Maybe they're going to win 2 more games. 1 week later, I don't feel that way. Now, I don't know how many more they're going to win, but I don't feel the same way.
Yeah, and look, there were still some significant warts on this game. Blowing a 21-point lead, man, that's a tough way to make a living in this league. And they've just let too many of those double-digit leads get away. Now, they survived this one, but, I don't know what it is. I think one thing is your defense isn't very good. That's kind of borne itself out. Did some things better yesterday, but overall not very good. And there have been times where the offense just kind of stopped scoring, and you can't do that because you've said this to me before. Hey, if they're scoring, you have every right to keep scoring as well.
It's not against the rules. You're allowed to score. But excuse me, but you see things that happen like yesterday, where there's a 4th and 13, a 4th and 15, whatever it was, and they convert a 15-yard pass down to the 2-yard line to Logan Thomas. We do a video for DetroitLions.com with Chris Spielman, and I asked him, Chris, back in the old day when in my neighborhood, we would just line everybody up at the 5-yard line and link arms. Great strategy. Why not do something like that in the National Football League? And after he stopped laughing at me, but he said, "Look, you got to be aware of the boundaries and the yard to gain and all of that stuff." And I just thought that was that was a turning point in that game. Now, it didn't kill them, but it certainly made it a lot harder.
Well, you take over on downs there. It's a much different game. I don't remember exactly what that was. That was the McKissick touchdown run, right? They made it 24-10. So if you take over on downs there, it's still 24-3.
Absolutely. And then they get like a 17-play drive, and they're just nibble. There was no big knockout blow, and they just couldn't get off the field.
They could not get Washington off the field. I mean, you look at their drive chart in this game. I mean, now here's the key thing. a lot of it didn't result in points, but you look, Washington, 9 and a punt, which got them, they were deep in Lions territory and 2 negative plays in a punt, 9 and a field goal, 3 and a punt, but then 8 and a missed field goal, 11 and a fumble. I mean, the Lions were kind of living by the skin of their teeth a little bit there for a while. They made some plays to be sure, but it was dangerous living.
No, absolutely, and you know it's they don't have the knockout artist there defensively. The guy that, as Wayne Fonts used to say, blots out the sky. They don't have that guy, but offensively, I think they've seemed to be able to adjust to whatever happens to them a little bit better. Lose a couple starters on offense, they plug them in, Marv Hall and whoever they used on the offensive line, and they kind of hum along. But of course, they got the quarterback to do that. Defensively, they don't have that guy who just dominates the game for them.
No, and in fairness, their best defensive player is out right now.
For now,
For Trey Flowers, not playing Absolutely. Right now. But even when he's been in there, they just don't have enough playmakers on defense. They just don't have enough difference makers right now, and they're trying to piece it together. But you can see where it stretches to the point where it is a problem.
Well, no, absolutely. But like I said, though, the guys on the other side of the ball, like Marvin Hall, he's not Kenny Galladay, but he's really been an effective player for him in what is really a pretty limited role. I think, to me, maybe the best.
No question.
Maybe the best thing that came out of that game, Danny, was that they've identified their running back now, and that's Swift, DeAndre Swift. Yeah. That is their lead dog right there, and he is a good one.
He really is. I mean, you saw on full display in that game yesterday why they drafted him in the second round. Just the explosiveness, the open field ability, the ability to make guys miss. Everything was on display from DeAndre Swift, and I'm with you. I like to see him get the bulk of the touches amongst these running backs. Let me take a break. This chat with Mike O'Hara brought to you by Comerica Bank. Experience full-service banking at Comerica Bank. Learn more at Comerica.com. We're going to come back. You'll hear our conversation with Lions head coach Matt Patricia. A little bit later, our conversation with Matthew Stafford. That's coming up as well. We're glad you're with us. We're going to talk about this game against Washington. Look ahead to Carolina as well. This edition of Lions Review rolls on right after this.
Comerica has donated millions to COVID-19 testing, personal protection equipment, crucial supplies, food banks, and small businesses. And we're just getting started. To learn more,
back to more Lions Review. Presented by MGM Grand Detroit, the king of sportsbooks. Here's Dan Miller.
Here we go to win it at Ford Field. Time 27-27. 3 seconds to go. Muhlbach to snap. Fox to hold. Here we go. Snap, spot, kick away. It is up. He's got the distance. It is good.
Yes.
It is good, baby. Matt Prater sends it through from 59 yards out, and the Lions are celebrating at midfield. How about that? Matthew Stafford got him into position. Matt Prater sends it home, and the Lions have won this game. Your final score, the Lions 30 and Washington 27. Low, it was a line drive, but it sailed right through. You can put your headset back on. You're still working, brother.
Yes, baby. Hey, it was all good, Dan. We needed that.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Lomas was already headed to the post-game buffet. I look over and he grabs the mic and like holds it upside down and starts talking into it. I'm like, we're still working here, bud. Let's get to our conversation with Lions head coach Matt Patricia. Talked about situational football to start. That's something he always stresses. And yesterday it was very important.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously there was some really good situational plays, both at the end of the half and the end of the game, that I think really helped us, obviously be able to convert those into field goals. So, just great job by everybody on the field, the players being aware of what was going on and going out and executing in that moment. It's really just the play itself. They got to go execute, and then we deal with the situation as it comes. But I thought those guys did a great job.
You have 16 seconds left. You're at your own 25. What goes into your decision there to be aggressive at that point, which obviously paid off? But I imagine that is kind of something you have to go back and forth with in your mind. What's the possible payoff versus the possible negative could be?
Well, I think definitely in that situation, we've worked through those scenarios before, and we thought it was something that we could get a couple plays off and see what happens. So, that's really where we were in that situation. Didn't know if it would be, some sort of end zone shot or potential long field goal, but just got to go out and execute the first play, see what happens, and go from there.
It felt like you really set the tone offensively early in this game. DeAndre had a really nice start, and it felt like your offense, the balance, maybe held their defensive line at bay a little bit. They had to really respect the run. Your offensive line did a great job as well against that group, but it felt like the balance was a big key, in particular in getting some of those chunk plays that you got.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously up front, this was going to be a big challenge for us. We know how good they are, and I think from that aspect of it, I thought our guys did a great job. But we like to stay balanced on offense, and when we can run the ball, that's certainly something we want to do. But I thought we threw the ball very well. Had some good routes, and receivers did a great job getting open, and obviously Stafford did an outstanding job of getting them the ball. But you like to have that sort of run pass mix to keep the defensive front especially off balance, and I thought that worked out really well for us.
Yeah, and I imagine that has to be a confidence boost too. That is as talented a defensive line as you're going to face. Your guys knew going in this was going to be a big test, and they held up very well against that group. Yeah,
I mean, I think they did a great job, and I think they worked hard during the course of the week. They knew it was going to be a big challenge, and certainly, we'd have to play well. I thought they did, and hopefully we just can kind of use that momentum going forward and be consistent with it as we go. But, certainly from that aspect of it, I thought it started during the course of the week of work.
Kenny Golladay not being in there, you had a bunch of guys that stepped up. I thought, everybody battled. Marvin Jones, though, 10 targets, 8 catches, 96 yards, including a touchdown on a 3rd and 10 was a big, big play. Marvin was really battling in there as well.
Yeah, I thought he had an outstanding game, very productive, really in some of those critical moments too. I thought he spoke really well in his routes to the quarterback, and I thought they were on the same page. There was a couple of things in there that they were able to kind of modify on the field and really, be very productive with it. So that was great.
Tough day in terms of getting off the field, but I thought it was interesting early in this one, in particular in the first half. They had some long drives, but your guys hung in there. One drive, they had a couple of negative plays that took them out of field goal range. Once you forced a field goal attempt that they missed, once you forced a turnover. Is that the advantage of forcing a team to have longer drives, not giving up chunk plays, that at some point along the line, maybe they make a mistake, maybe they get behind the down sticks, and it can work in your favor?
Well, I think definitely, in the first half, I thought we did a good job of stopping the run and making sure that we were trying to make them drive the ball. They hit a couple big plays in behind us, and, that allowed them to move field position. But I thought the guys just kind of stayed consistent and, played well in some of those critical situations and were really, able to get off the field. Certainly forcing a fumble at the 2 minute before the half, that was great. And, like you mentioned, the two big plays on the reverse and then the sack to get them out of field goal range to start the game. So, from that aspect of it, I thought they did a great job, in the first half. Certainly the second half is where, we got to do a better job when they are driving the length of the field like they were, of coming up with some more of those plays that we had similar to the first half.
Now, two guys that I just wanted to hit you with real quick. Everson Griffin, 5 quarterback hits this game and a sack. Very active in there. That's the guy you were going after when you made that move.
Yeah, I thought he did a great job. He rushed really hard, after the quarterback and, got some pressure in there, which was good. I think you could feel him out on the field. And certainly Romeo on the other side, I think, it was good for both those guys to be able to, get some rushes on the edge and affect the game.
And lastly, just Jamie Collins in terms of 13 tackles, 2 forced fumbles in this game. And it's the kind of game where every play that you make is a critical one.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he was very active. He was always around the ball, and 13 tackles. That's a long game. But I thought he did a great job. He does a lot in the middle of the defense, a lot of communication, a lot of adjustments, and really some of the adjustments that we made during the game switched up some of the things that he was doing, and I thought he handled that, really well. And obviously the forced fumbles, we could feel the ball coming, and he did a great job of getting it out and then recovering it.
Hey, quick on Matt Prater as well. What is the makeup of a guy that is able to do what he does in clutch situations? Because you look at the numbers, he's been unbelievable throughout his career. You have the confidence to send him out there for a 59-yarder, and he knocks it through to win the game.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, obviously, extremely tough-minded individual. He's obviously a great professional, works at his craft. He, just every single day, he's consistent and he tries to get better and improve. And, we have the utmost confidence in him that he's going to go out and help us do everything he can to help us win. So, from that aspect of it, I thought he had a great week of work and really just, super excited for him in that situation. And obviously, he hit a long one for us when we needed it.
Hey, final thing. This puts you back where you want to be. You win a game. This gives you a chance to stack another one on top of it. I know it's a day-by-day thing. Good practice followed by good practice. But just your thoughts as you head into this week now and get set for Carolina.
Well, I think that's really the big thing for us is just to go out and try to be consistent. We got to go back to work and we got to get ready for another good team in Carolina, and they're going to be ready to go, and we got to travel, get on the road, and hopefully go get another win. So, from that aspect of it, we just got to stay with the process, stay focused on this week, not think about anything other than going and trying to play well this weekend.
All right, there he is. That interview with the head coach brought to you by MGM Grand Detroit, the king of sportsbooks. We will take a break, come right back. We got a lot more to discuss. Coming up, our conversation with Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford, plus more from Mike O'Hara on the other side as we roll on with this edition of Lions Review.
Fox News, I'm Rich Dennison. Several defense officials confirmed to Fox News that the Pentagon is moving forward with plans to withdraw more troops from Afghanistan and Iraq before the next administration.
The troop numbers in Afghanistan will go to 2,500 from the current level of about 4,500, but not to zero as many had feared. In Iraq, the president will likely order 500 troops to leave, bringing the number of troops there to about 3,000.
Fox's John Decker in Washington. Drug maker Moderna says clinical trials show its vaccine is nearly 95% effective in protecting against coronavirus. Today's announcement comes a week after Pfizer reported similar results with its vaccine candidate.
Under Operation Warp Speed, Moderna's vaccine product is already being produced. Anticipating FDA approval, U.S. officials say distribution could begin in a few weeks.
Fox's Evan Brown. America is listening to Fox News.
I-94 westbound at Cadieux, there's an accident. The left lane blocked. This is also affecting the ramp to Cadieux. Use caution as you make your way through that area. The I-75 southbound ramp to 14 Mile Road closed due to construction. I'm Peggy Hodge, WJR Traffic and Weather First.
Rain and some snow on the way to southeast Michigan tonight. Probably won't see any accumulation except for some mailboxes and possibly some deck railings. Temperatures will be right around freezing when we wake up in the morning. And then partly cloudy skies expected on Tuesday. High temperatures will stay in the 30s. That's going to be the coldest number that we've seen for a high this season so far. 24 on the nighttime low Tuesday nights and making some improvement with sunshine on Wednesday. I'm Local 4 meteorologist Ben Baylor.
Back to more Lions Review. Presented by MGM Grand Detroit, the king of sportsbooks. Here's Dan Miller.
Stafford leans in. He's got the football back to pass. Matthew sets and throws. Caught. First down. Inside the 10. To the 5. Swift fighting his way in. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. How about DeAndre Swift, 5'9", 215. He just lowered his helmet, put the boom on, and found the house. 15 yards on the strike.
DeAndre has another speed. He has another level of speed. And you don't say that a lot about a lot of NFL players, but this young man is so explosive, and he runs with power. Nice job, DeAndre, dropping that shoulder and getting those 7 points.
There was DeAndre Swift with a big day for the Lions. That was the opening drive of the third quarter when the Lions were able to jump up by a score 24-3. Got dicey after that, but they were able to find their way to a victory and win this one in the end by a score of 27-24 on Matt Prater's field goal. Michael Hara alongside. Michael, you were talking about it. There's one of the plays from DeAndre Swift right there. And, you know, I've long felt that sometimes these running back by committees don't allow guys to get into the flow of a game. And I think I talked to DeAndre after the game yesterday. He said one of the things that really helped him was being out there from the start and getting in the flow and just starting to feel the game, and you could see it.
Now, he's had a couple of games, 2-3 games where he's had a pretty high snap count, but this is the one where they, whether by design or just the way the game unfolded, they started him and they kept him out there. I think he had, what, Dan, 41, 42 snaps. Kerryon Johnson had 9, and then Adrian Peterson had 7 or 6, I forget, which I thought Adrian, though, in small doses played pretty well. What do you have, like 4 carries for 19 yards?
7 for Adrian, 9 for Kerryon, right. And then Swift had 43.
Yeah, and so that's, to me, I don't know if that's the way it's always going to be, but it certainly was. It was going well yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised if it stays that way. But like I said, I thought Adrian, in limited playing time, I thought he contributed something to that game.
Yeah, I mean, he's got live legs and he still has vision. So when he comes in there, he runs hard. I mean, he's going to make you pay if you try to tackle him. That's the one thing about AD is he sees something, he goes after it real quick.
No, he certainly seems just to love, I think we said this before, love every element of football. You like practice, the bus rides, the travel, all that stuff. Just a ball player. Really, it's been fun to have him here in Detroit. It really has.
It has. All right, let's get to our conversation with Matthew Stafford. We still have a lot to talk about after that, but we did have a chance to talk with the quarterback today, brought to you by Henry Ford Health System, the official healthcare provider of the Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford, first question was about something he brought up at the end of the game yesterday in his post-game press conference, the fact that because of a hand injury he suffered, he was going to go get x-rays. I asked him about that after a report from NFL Network this morning.
Yeah, I did get some x-rays after the game. They were negative, no fractures or breaks in there. Couple, I'm sure, tests throughout the week, but, I'm going to do everything I can to be out there. I'm going to do what I can, so I like my chances.
I saw you after the game. I was watching the tape last night, smacking Prater on the head with your right hand. I said, it can't be that bad.
Yeah, adrenaline's a hell of a thing. I'll tell you that much. No, I'm doing all right.
All right, let's get to this. It seemed like early in the game, we'll get to the end, which was fantastic in a minute. It seemed like early in the game, the running game was a real bonus for you guys. You had DeAndre going, but it also seemed like that opened things up downfield for the throw to Marvin Hall and the throw to Marvin Jones as well.
Yeah, I think it really helped our guys up front, and helped them shoot. They did it. They were blocking a great front all day, and to be able to, run the ball early in the game against a front like that is really impressive, and honestly was a huge difference maker for us. Kept us out of 3rd and longs. Didn't have that many 3rd downs at all, really, in the first half. We were doing a nice job of getting some chunk plays in there, and then obviously hit some big passes that got us in the end zone, but it all adds up. All that offense counts, and I was happy for us to have a good day on the ground.
Let's get to that final drive. 16 seconds to go. You get the ball back. Is that kind of the outer edge of where you'd feel comfortable being aggressive in that situation?
Yeah, that was a unique one because we were tied. It was one of those where, early in that drive, I didn't want to hold the ball because they've got a great front, and if we sack fumble right there and they kick a game-winning field goal, we're all down in the dumps. So it was trying to be aggressive when we could but be smart as well. And I thought Bev did a greid job of giving me some plays, and we kind of talked through the situation on the sideline, and then obviously we're really close to hitting a big one there to Cephas to end it. But you did a great job of getting it in range for our guy, and then Prater did his thing.
Let me ask you about that throw to Cephas, because you popped up on one knee looking downfield. The flag looked like it came in behind you. Did you even know it had been thrown? Because that's a huge moment right there.
No, I didn't. I was totally focused. After I threw the ball, I was totally focused downfield and, not bracing for any hit. So that hit caught me by surprise, knocked me down pretty good. And then I thought when I let it go that it was a pretty good shot. And so I thought it might have had a chance. And it was pretty close. I don't, a yard here or there, and maybe it was really close to being a big one, but we got it done in a different fashion, which it all counts.
You get to the 56 seconds to go. I'm looking out there, and it looked like you got a great advantage on the right side with 3 guys over there, 31 blitzes. It looked like there was only 1 guy left in the area. How did you read that?
Yeah, I mean, you saw kind of what I saw. Really before 31 went over there was hardly anybody over there. And, and then he walked over and I was kind of interested. He was in a weird spot. I'm like, I wonder what he's going to do. And then he pressured and it made it even easier. And, talked it through the huddle with the guys like, hey, whoever I get this ball to, we're trying to get it around the 40 and get down. And Marv did a great job of getting down. And obviously Prater made the field goal. I kind of felt bad. I told Prater after the game, he likes it on the left hash, and I kind of screwed him and got it on the right hash. But I was like, Marvin was so open, I had to get it to him. But he made a great kick, and it was a great win.
You're always confident when you're walking off and he's walking on in those situations, aren't you?
I've seen it so many times. I think back to Minnesota a few years ago, a 58-yarder sent it to overtime. There's just been so many. Atlanta and London. There's a bunch of them I could go back through and think about. But yeah, I'm ultra confident in that crew, and obviously, in number 5 to go out there and get it done.
It's nice to win. It's nice to get back to work off a victory. You got a chance to get back to 500 this week. Just in closing, just give me some thoughts on what you want to improve on offensively as you move forward and try to keep this thing going.
Yeah, I think that was a good game to kind of build off of for us. We were down some guys, especially kind of late in the game, but a really good pass defense that we went up against, and our guys up front played outstanding. So, those guys continue to play like that, both in the run game and the pass game. I think we can be, really explosive and put up some points, but we got to be a little bit more consistent. Can't put up a bunch of points and then, not score when we need to when the other team's making a comeback. So there's plenty to clean up.
All right, there's Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford talking about yesterday's game. And Mike, I don't know if you look at that replay. With 6 seconds to go, if you look at the defense that Washington put out there, it was so wide open on the right side of the field. And I'm standing in the booth and I'm looking at it and I'm like, there's an easy throw there. And that's where he went. And that's the throw he made. But I love kind of listening to the wheels turn in Matthew's head. When he described number 31, he said, kind of interested in what he was doing. He was in a weird spot and kind of wondering what he was going to do. And that's kind of Matthew thinking through the play before the play. Then he sees it unfold and he knows he's got Marvin, but that's the wheels turning inside of 9.
Well, and I would think, I don't know what he's thinking, obviously, but I would think that when he sees something he hasn't seen before, doesn't expect, he's wondering, what's he going to do?
Yeah.
In other words, that's not something I'm looking for. And I've had a couple of people say, well, why didn't Marvin just get the ball and just run? Of course, you could have scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No.
I think the way Marvin played that was exactly right. Let's go back a couple of weeks to or 3 weeks, what happened in Atlanta where a guy scored a touchdown. Didn't have the field awareness, situation awareness that Marvin did. I thought Marvin has been just a warrior for the Lions this year. Just a day in, game out, play in, play out. He's been as reliable as anybody on that team.
You know what he is? He's tough.
Yes, he is.
Marvin Jones is tough, man. I mean, he goes in there, makes the catches over the middle, loves to grind for the 50-50 balls. He's a big play guy. He can be a short guy over the middle, whatever it takes. Just a really, really talented football player that probably doesn't get anywhere near the credit that he deserves.
I think he's got 46, 47 career touchdown catches now and 32 or so with the Detroit Lions. Look, that's a career, but he's got more gas in the tank if he wants to continue playing. I'm convinced of that.
But it's going to be a very interesting, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but an interesting time looking ahead. Those top 3 receivers, none of them are under contract beyond this. So you're looking to see, I don't imagine that they're going to allow Golladay to go anywhere. I think at worst he'll be franchised, but you got a decision to make on Marvin too. And those are talented guys. So those guys you don't like seeing them walk out the door. Cause as you said, somebody will certainly look at a guy like Marvin Jones and know that he can help them going forward.
Sounds like the Dan Miller, Mike O'Hara Sports Agency is going to be working overtime.
What do you get? 3%, 2%? I'll negotiate for something like that. I'll get him. I'll get Kenny his $17 million or whatever he's going to end up getting. Whatever 2% of that is, you'll figure that out. Money. But that would be the way to go. Tell you what, we'll take a break. We'll come right back with your call of the game. We'll look ahead to the game coming up against Carolina. Lions have a chance to get back to 500. They're still in that quote-unquote soft part of their schedule. But as we have found, It's a part of the schedule where you still have to earn everything you get, and they'll have to earn it against Carolina coming up this week. So we'll take a break, come right back after this. Stick with us on this edition of Lions Review.
Back to more Lions Review. Presented by MGM Grand Detroit, the king of sportsbooks. Here's Dan Miller.
So the ball will be at the 50. 6 seconds remaining. You need a quick hitter and a timeout. Heck, if you can pick up 5 yards, you might send him out there to try it from 63. We saw him hit from 60 in pregame warmups. Stafford out of the gun. From midfield, there's the snap. Quick throw. They get it to Marvin Jones, and they're going to call a timeout with 3 seconds left at the 41-yard line. It'll be a 59-yard field goal attempt to win it.
Nice job, Matthew. Nice job, Marvin Jones, catching the ball and getting right down so we can get that timeout and save the time.
There was the call of the game, sponsored by Ring Central, official partner of the Detroit Lions. Ring Central, message, video, phone together. Michael, you liked that one.
Yeah, I did. Dan, we like the circus catches and all that, but someone's got to feed the elephants, feed the animals, and clean up after them. And right there, that's the dirty work of pro football right there. Just do your job. 6 seconds from snap to catch to get down. You didn't get Marvin Jones Jr. didn't all of a sudden get full of himself and say, hey, I'm going to be the hero. No. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. Got down, called timeout, 3 seconds left, snap, hold, kick. Lions are happy, go home happy.
And you got to make the throw too. Yeah,
absolutely.
You know what? You got to, even though there was really no defender in the area, you got to make the throw, and you got to. It's all about being accurate. You don't want him to have to spin backwards, because if he does, then he's not going to get to the furthest point that he can possibly get. So everything has to work there. It's not a hard throw for an NFL quarterback, but it's one you have to make. And there's human error that's still involved in it as well. So everybody's got to, as you said, do their job.
Just do your job.
Make sure you get, you got 6 seconds. You got to catch it, get down, call a timeout, and then send the rest of the guys out. There was some crazy officiating late in that game. The TV never gave us, because I went back and watched last night, TV never gave us a good look at the hold on Trufant. The pass interference call was just brutal. I mean, that's ball game, and you're going to throw a flag on that and inject yourself into the game at that point? I just didn't see that.
No, and I was listening to one of the referee analysts. I forget which one it was. He said, look, one of the reasons scoring is up this year in the National Football League is because they're not calling those plays. They've changed the parameters a little bit on what's holding. They've changed the parameters a little bit on what's interference. They didn't change anything on that one.
Well, and I was listening to, as I watched the broadcast back, to Agib Talib, who was doing the color in the game, and he was saying he didn't like that call. And then they chimed in that Mike Pereira from New York or LA, wherever he is, had said that should not have been called. So it was definitely, that game should have been over right there, right then. And then I thought it was also curious a little bit later in the game when there was 9 seconds left, and they put a second back, which I thought was right 10, and then he corrected himself to 12, and the Lions got 2 more seconds out of it, which was very beneficial to them.
And Dan, a little bit of strategy there too. I was not for, now look, it worked out for the Lions, but I wasn't for Riverboat Ron Rivera kicking the ball into the end zone. Make him return it, use up some time. I think that's bad strategy. It sounds conservative. I think it's just the opposite. I think that's the gamble.
Here's my only thought, Mike, is, and we got about a minute to go. Here's my only thought is, they got the number 1 pass defense in the NFL. And I think he was probably just trusting his pass defense as best as I can say. But yeah, that's a good point. If you kick it down to the 4-yard line, then chances are they're going to burn, at least 6-7 seconds on a return. So there's that's a conversation you got to have.
I looked this up. I looked at the play-by-play. I'll do this real quickly. But on the second kickoff of the game to Washington, the guy fielded it, returned it 19 yards to the 26. It took him 6 seconds exactly.
Well,
make up your own mind.
Would have been different. Michael, good stuff, my friend. We will see you this week, and we'll read you on DetroitLions.com. Thanks, everybody, for making us a part of your Monday night. Lions get the win next week right here. Lions Radio against Carolina. That'll do it for this edition of Lions Review.